Man, this Stephen A. LeBron James stuff is just stupid, man. I don't know what the heck going on in sports, man. The sports media is tripping. Um, the sports leagues is tripping. Everything is just crazy right now, man. First of all, Stephen A. is an analyst. His job is to critique players, critique their games, and say some of the stuff he said. And what he said about Bronny James was all credible. It was all legit. We were all saying it. He was just stating the obvious. So, for LeBron, I got that's his son, but this is and where LeBron is making his biggest mistake is that this is his opportunity to actually coach his son through this process. Kind of what it appears like Deion Sanders is doing with his son. You don't see Deion Sanders, at least I haven't. Maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't seen or heard Deion Sanders come out and attack anybody like that. It appears that he's coaching his son through the process. He's been there before. He's been through all this. He been where Shador's trying to go. Kind of like, LeBron is where Bronny's trying to go. There's a whole lot that comes with that. And he needs to coach him through the process. Part of the process, part of being, in the NBA as the star, the supposed GOAT, it comes with criticism. It comes with the media talking crazy. So what LeBron should be doing is encouraging the Stephen A's and all the other people to say whatever it is they're going to say so that he could teach his son that, hey, man, this is a part of being here. And it's also a part of, this is what makes players better. Use that as fuel. That's what the greats do. All this protecting and coddling, that stuff don't work. It don't work. Most of us that are parents that coddled our children and tried to protect them from different things, protect them from life lessons, and tried to be friends and not be parents, and all that stuff backfired. They never learned. So LeBron is doing a disservice to his son by protecting him in this fashion, because he's in an environment where it's going to come from all directions. The great players have bad games or bad series or different things for people to come out and make memes and have bad things to say. Fans burning jerseys and, talking mess about you when they see you out in public, yelling out different things. You got to prepare him for that, for the environment that he's in, man. You can't be trying to protect him like that. So that's my issue with LeBron. I mean, as a father, I can understand, being upset and confronting some of the critics or whatever. But, um, at the same time, most dads understand, like, okay, you got to prepare your kids for what they're about to go through, for the life for the world they're about to live in. So, coming up as a young adult, so that's my take on it, man. It's crazy, and listening to different people commenting on it. People are siding with LeBron on this, but I'm like, no, that's not the way it should go. You know, um, it I don't know. It's something weird happening in the sports media. I don't know what they're gonna do. I think when um, next year when The NBA is back on NBC and ESPN and the new TV deals they got with TNT and ESPN joining forces, or at least inside the NBA. I guess Shaq and them is going to be a part of the whole system, the whole NBA sports media system, or whatever it is they got going on. We're going to see something uh, interesting, I think. Hopefully Barkley and Shaq and Kenny Smith could stay true to their roots, the old school basketball, old school mentality, and check this nonsense. Barkley made a valid point when he was talking about how ESPN only want to talk about is the Lakers and the Warriors, and they not even playing that good. I mean, they playing okay. The Lakers been doing well, but other teams been doing better. But they only want to talk about LeBron and Steph and what they doing. And that kind of stuff is true, man. It's like, come on, man, talk about other players. They're talking about, hey, well, nobody's celebrating the NBA. Well, that's, blame ESPN for that, for only being worried about LeBron and Steph and what they doing. When you got all these other stars that's coming up, shine some light on them. LeBron and Steph, they old. Why are still on them? You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's just crazy, man, that they just not taking everything. Why they not talking about Ja Morant and Wemby a lot more? Why they not showing any of the other stars or whatever? Why they not focused on that? Everything is just LeBron. They trying to milk this LeBron money cow, and it's like enough already. Retire already, man. It's time to see something else. So you know yeah, they don't. But that's all they want to talk. All ESPN want to talk about is LeBron and Steph, and like what Barkley said, LeBron and Steph, and the GOAT. Who's the GOAT, Jordan or LeBron? And it's like the tiredest thing in the world. And there's as I listen to all these podcasts and stuff, what topics I'm tired of? The top two topics is the Jordan and LeBron debate, the GOAT debate, regardless of who's in it. I'm tired of that GOAT debate. And top fives and Mount Rushmores. Any podcast you listen to, they're gonna ask everybody the same question. Who is your GOAT? What do you think about? Give us your Jordan story. Honorable mentions is giving your Kobe story for obvious reasons, right? But give me your Jordan story. Who's your Mount Rushmore? Who's your top five? And the funny part about that is that same question is asked for other stuff. Give me your top five rap artists. Who's your Mount Rushmore in rap? It's just nobody's creative with questions anymore, man. Everybody just kind of piggyback. The podcast stuff is getting overly saturated. I wanted to try to do a little bit more with this, but man, I don't be having the time. Sometimes I think about topics, I be wanting to talk about it or make videos and discuss it, but I'm just kind of like, man, this gonna get topic is already beat into the ground. So this one right here, only reason why I'm talking about it tonight, man, is because it's Friday night. I'm just laying up, And I don't got nothing to do. I already ate. I think I probably should make me a little drink real quick. But then again, if I do that and I record this and Napoleon will tell me what I'm gonna say. So I'm gonna make sure I know what I'm saying and know what I'm posting. So but anyway, the thing about it is you know, this Lebron Stephen A stuff, all the stuff that's been happening in the media, but being discussed in the media lately, it's just been, it's just been uh, amazingly weird. Um, you know, everybody trying to blame the media for the fact that the NBA suck. What kind of mess is that? They blaming the media, speaking facts, stating the obvious that the game is not watchable, ratings are down, which give credence to the fact that it's unwatchable because people aren't watching. But yet, somehow, it's not the players' fault. It's Charles Barkley and them. It's 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 these old players bad mouthing the game and not celebrating the players. Celebrate what? A three? Why would I want to celebrate somebody passing up an easy layup for a three? Why would I want to celebrate a 3-on-1 fast break that result in a missed three? A 3-on-1. And all finishers, but they decided to go up for a three. Why would I want to celebrate traveling? Why would I want to celebrate a ugly, uncoordinated Euro step? That's, Euro extra steps at some of them, because some of the fools be, my gosh, the traveling is just unbelievable. Why would I want to celebrate no defense? Why would I want to celebrate no post play? Why would I want to celebrate wide open lanes people could just run in for easy layup? Why would I want to celebrate players not being able to be physical? Why would I want to celebrate instant replay that slows up the game? Why would I want to celebrate overly sensitive refs? Why would I want to celebrate gimmick basketball, playing tournaments, a tournament during the All-Star break? It is so much to not celebrate about the NBA. And, you know, the fact that, coaches can't even coach. Why would I want to celebrate that? Where's strategy at? I miss when you used to be able to see, like, let's say, for example, the player will get hot, our team will get hot, and they running their plays, everything is going good, coach call timeout, and then all of a sudden, that team makes defensive adjustments. Now they're not getting them easy looks, them easy baskets no more. They're not getting them them they're not getting them easy scores, and so now they have to find something else to do, right? So they call a timeout and then make an adjustment, and now they back to scoring, or they didn't figure it out, to use a different strategy. You see what they're doing, you know what they're doing. That kind of stuff it taught us the game when we watched it back in the day. It taught us how to recognize certain plays and certain things. That made the game exciting to watch because it was different things going on. It wasn't just one thing. Right now in the NBA, it's just one thing: threes. That's it. Threes, iso ball, crossover, step back. That's it. It used to be a time when, you have a player that, like a Penny Hardaway, a Tim Hardaway, a Mitch Richmond, a Mark Price, a Allen Iverson, a James Worthy, players with moves, right? Players that are skilled. I didn't mention Jordan on purpose because even though I'm the biggest Jordan fan, I won't say I'm the biggest Jordan fan, but I am a Jordan fan. I used to be. I'm a grown man now, so I call myself the biggest Jordan fan right now. Would be kind of seem kind of silly, but I admired Jordan a lot growing up, and right now I feel happy that I've been able to watch him. But anyway, remember when they had their signature moves, and coaches figured out how to stop certain moves. They wouldn't allow them to do certain things. And so as a result, the player will go to the gym in the off season and work on something else. Because he know, okay, when I play against this team, I could go in my bag of tricks. But against that team, I can't, because they got a cold scouting report and they know my every move. And not only do they know my scouting report, but they got the personnel to stop most of it. So I got to come up with something else. See, back in the day, the players did the little thing or the extra things to make themselves better. Part of the reason was either because they tired of losing, tired of getting their behinds kicked, tired of the criticism. LeBron, Bronny, New Era NBA, podcasters, Gil's Arena, Marcellus Wiley, a few others. Criticism back in the day made the players go to the gym and work on their game and get better. That's why the NBA was better back in the day. Coaching. It used to be a time you could look at a team and be like, you know what? Don Nelson would be good for this team. I'm just using it as an example. Oh man, Pat Riley would be great for this particular team. Oh man, Bernie Bickerstaff, that offense he oh man. I'm just using some of these coaches as just an example. But because coaches had their own style of play. Lenny Wilkins, Larry Brown, They all had their own style of play. I mean, their own coaching strategy. They all had their own coaching strategy, and certain teams match certain coaching styles. So that's a reason why the Lakers in the 90s, like around 97, 90, when they first got Shaq in 96, 97, 98, those teams that kept losing to San Antonio and Utah in the playoffs. Man, that Laker team was so talented, man. It was way more talented than the teams that won the championship. If you go back and you look at everybody that they had, not to forget, oh man, real quick, man, they could have had, on top of all that, if had Magic stayed around, they could have had Shaq, Kobe, and Magic Johnson. Man, that would have been a dope team. Anyway, but they didn't have the right coach. That's why they couldn't go nowhere. The coach they had was Del Harris, and he had a simplified offense. Get the ball in the Shaq. If he get fronted or he can't get the ball, then they'll rotate. He'll repost on the other side. They'll swing the ball around and get it to him on the other side. And then if he didn't have anything, it'd be like a few seconds on the clock. And now, 5 seconds to go. Now it's left up to Nick Van Exel or Cedric Ceballos or Eddie Jones to come up with something. More often than not, they came up with something. They won games, but the problem was in the playoffs. The playoffs was different, and it was easy to adapt to their style of play, and they never won. They never could win. So, and that had to do with a lot of that had to do with coaching. So as the years went on, they went and got Phil Jackson. And Phil Jackson kept the core players and brought in some other players to implement the style that he wanted, and a proven style that won. And as a result, he brought that same level of success from Chicago to Los Angeles. And people say, "Oh, that's Tex Winters off." Yeah, that's maybe true, but hey, you had Shaq, two of the biggest stars that he coached, always talked about how, and even a lot of the other players always talked about how great of a coach Phil was. So, and he was a good manager of talent and getting everybody on the same page and stuff. And it's different philosophies or whatnot. So, you think about stuff like that, coaching, missing out of the NBA now. And then you fast forward to 2004 when the Lakers lost to the Pistons, and the strategy that the Pistons used to beat the Lakers. The Pistons didn't have no stars on their team at the time. It was just a team. The Lakers had 4 superstars. And their strategy on Shaq was take advantage of the fact that he was out of shape. And they made him run. Ben Wallace would sprint out there in transition and get easy baskets. Shaq wasn't keeping up with that because Shaq was out of shape and winded. He did a couple other things, but the thing about it was they beat the Lakers, a much more talented team, based on using the right strategy. You know, that's what's missing in the NBA now. That's what's worth celebrating. That's why the NBA grew to be one of the biggest leagues, one of the best sports around. Basketball was huge in the 80s and 90s and even early 2000s. Early 2000s, in my opinion, was some, especially around the time, I'll say when LeBron first got to Miami and they was battling the Bulls, Derrick Rose, even in the when the Celtics, the big three, with KG and Ray Allen and Kobe was battling, the Suns, and that whole era. It was some good basketball. It was a healthy mix of old school versus new school. I think if they can get back to that, then I think they'll have a chance. But sitting around blaming media is just stupid. Channing Frye was funny. You know, um, the thing about him is, and his take was, he said they not being celebrated enough. He says nostalgia is killing the game. Here's where I agree with him. And here's what I'll agree with Shannon Fry. When he says that they not, the constant comparison of players, current players to players 40 years ago. I have been saying this probably like the last 5 or 10 years. Like, why don't they just let players be themselves? How come when the player does something great, they have to find a player from the past to compare him to, or to say the last player that did this particular thing was Jason Kidd. The last person that did this particular thing was, Larry Bird. It's always a comparison. And then what happens is that same player, every time he does whatever that thing is, they show a particular player that they want to compare him to. They want to make him out to be the next. It seemed like, the NBA has, ever since 1990, the NBA has been looking for the next Jordan since the late 80s, early 90s. Started with Baby Jordan, Harold Miner, who in college, he had some pretty sweet moves, some pretty good moves. A lot of, he could jump. He had a lot of hang time. You could kind of understand the comparison at that particular time. But they had been looking for the next Jordan for the longest. But they always worried about who's the next this, the next that. Instead of just letting players just be, themselves. Why do LeBron have to be compared to Jordan? LeBron is a great player in his own right. Him and Jordan don't even play the same style. The only thing they have in common is they both wore number 23 and wore a red jersey. Outside of that, You know, they two different basketball players, two different body frames, two different positions. Just everything is just different. There's no comparison. So I don't know why they they stick to this. Are they worried about this? It's just ridiculous. So um so I understand that part of what um Channing Frye was trying to or was saying, because yeah, they need to cut that stuff out. And when he said the NBA is going back to team basketball, I hope so. I hope so, because the superstar model has worn out. Them being focused on superstar players, um, that's no longer something that's exciting to watch anymore. Um, it's just not. um, Team basketball, that's when the NBA was at its greatest. Um, in the late 80s, early 90s, even though Jordan was, you know, um, an individual player, but he was starting to play as a team within the triangle offense. Um, Team basketball has always been uh, the preferred style of play. That's why in the 80s, you don't hear about a whole lot of players scoring or averaging 30, 35 points, especially in the playoffs. That's the other thing I miss about the old school NBA. Remember when the playoffs and the regular season was two different things? Like, it didn't matter what you did in the play and in the regular season. It was about them playoffs. It was about that postseason. It was different, man. It wasn't pretty. A lot of them games was ugly, but so you go back and you watch some of them games now, you might be like, oh my gosh, this was terrible to watch. But during the game, as it happened, as it was playing, you know, not knowing what the outcome is going to be, man, them games were exciting to watch. You know, it might not be exciting to watch to some of you guys because you already know what the outcome is. You could just go and type up, you know, whatever, and find out all the stats and find the highlights of the game. But when you watching them in real time, oh man, that that was something, man. I missed the old NBA in that regards. Yeah, the playoffs were some, that was a special time of the year, man. You look forward to that, especially if your team was gonna win. As a Bulls fan in the '90s, oh man, boy, couldn't wait for the playoffs to get here. It'll never be a fan experience like being a Bulls fan in the '90s. I'm just sorry. They trying to recreate it. They've been trying to recreate that for years, but you had to be there. And most importantly, you had to be a Bulls fan if you were back there to really understand how dope it was. Man, I'm telling you, it was by far the greatest fan experience ever, and is never to be duplicated. It was so fun of a fan experience that 40 years later, people still talking about it. 30 years later, people still talking about it. People still debating. Everybody still. You go online on these Facebook pages, all you hear is '90s Bulls, '90s Bulls this, '90s Bulls that, and it's like, man, if only y'all knew. I got games taped and a lot of stuff taped and recorded from back in the day that, I look back and it reminds me of a lot of them times. But man, I'm telling you, yeah. But anyway, yeah, the postseason back in the day was something to watch, man. But anyway, back to my point about the NBA going back to team basketball, and how it was back in the 80s. You didn't see a whole lot of players scoring or averaging, 30, 35 points. In fact, in the playoffs, you didn't see nobody averaging that but Michael Jordan. And and that's something that y'all fans that you, especially the young fans, got to understand, man. Because I hear this on Gil's Arena a lot, and some of the young people, when they talk and they say, "Oh, well, who was the GOAT in the '80s, and who was averaging this and that in the '80s, and who was who had these skills in the '80s?" First of all, a lot of them had skills, but what you got to understand is it was a team oriented game. So it was about the team winning. It was about, hey man, we got to do whatever it takes to win as a team. And there was this thing where people say, hey, you know what? They used to say, and that was the biggest knock on Michael Jordan, as exciting of a player as he was in the 80s. When the playoffs came around, he didn't really get much respect because, the mindset of it was nobody's going to score average 32 plus points a game in the playoffs and win a championship. That wasn't happening. It was about the team winning. It was about what the team did together. So yeah, you had your individual. They always had the individual players, but they did their thing. But at the end of the day, when you look at Magic's play, even though he was a passer, he got everybody involved. So was Larry Bird. They could both score. Same with Isaiah Thomas. They can all score, but it was about their team being able to get to the next level. So that's why when you think about 80s basketball, there's not one particular player that stands out. When you think about 80s basketball, you're thinking about Magic. Why are you thinking about Magic? Showtime Lakers. Bird, just thinking about Bird, you're thinking about Parrish and Kevin McHale and Dennis Johnson and what they did as a team. When you think about Detroit Pistons, you're thinking about Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Dennis Rodman, Bill Laimbeer. You think about the team. In the 80s, when you think let's throw Chicago in there, you mainly just thought about Michael Jordan for the longest. Now, when the playoffs started, guess what? I mean, look, Michael Jordan was must-see TV all year. You just had, hey, he came on TV, you watching, because somebody about to get destroyed. But the one thing that everybody knew when the playoffs came around, wasn't nobody expecting Chicago to do nothing. It was like, oh, wait, he got to get past Detroit. Detroit got him in check. Yeah, he might beat New York, he might beat Cleveland, he might beat these teams, but once Detroit once they go to Detroit, or Detroit come to town, he about to go home. It was a known and it was understood, and that was the talk. That was the knock against him, and it was like, yo, you got to do something else, because he was scoring all. He was unstoppable, but he was getting sent home, right? So this notion that a lot of you people say, oh man, so and so, you throw LeBron in the 80s, oh man, he gonna do this. You throw Steph in the 80s, oh, he's gonna do this, he's gonna do. No, he's not. Even if he do, okay, he might do something, but if his team ain't together, he ain't going nowhere, because it was a team oriented game. You know what I mean? So, and then you got people saying, oh man, it wasn't no good guards, and it wasn't no real competition in the 80s. Man, you are out of you done lost your mind. You done lost your mind, man. But see, that's because y'all thinking of it from a perspective of scoring, of averaging 35 points. You're thinking about stats and highlights. And so, it's plenty of highlights in the 80s now. Y'all tripping if y'all think it's not. You better go watch some video. Hey, you better scroll down in some of my videos and watch some of them. I got some 80s highlights in there. You can look at. Yeah. 80s basketball was nice, but if they could get back to team basketball, they'll be the NBA will be heading in the right direction. The super team stuff, that never worked. I don't know why they kept pushing that. I mean, they really ruined the league with that. Um, this, the superstar, super team stuff is just killed the league, in my opinion. Um, so it'd be nice if they can go back to team basketball. That's why even though I'm not a Boston Celtic fan, and the Lakers is my second favorite team, um, I was hoping the Lakers could eclipse the Celtics in winning a championship. To me, that's the only way LeBron uh, gets his number retired. Well, I'll say this, based on old school Laker tradition. He hasn't did enough in the Laker uniform to get a statue and jersey retired. He's lost more than he won. But if he had he um, got the Lakers into that uh, winningest team of all the NBA, if had he got the Lakers a couple championships to get them, I mean he's still playing. I guess it's still possible, but hey, it's because Luka's on the team now, so there's still that hanging over his head. But anyway, but if he was to get the Lakers into, get them above Boston for the most championships, then you know that would um, cement his legacy as one of the greatest Lakers of all time. But um, what he's did so far, in most Laker fans' opinion, nah. Most Laker fans ready for LeBron to get up out of LA, to be honest with you. So, but that's another conversation for another time. But anyway, yeah, so yeah, Channing Frye, he made some points, but he was a little clumsy in some of the other stuff he mentioned, like when he started talking about um, the issues Jordan had. Nobody critiqued Jordan or and Kobe, and they didn't have to go through certain things, that the stuff that LeBron had to go through, insinuating that. But which is all false. It's all false, because when you go back and you look at Jordan, he got criticized for not going to the White House when they won the championship. I believe it was in '91. He took a huge hit for that. So much so that he stopped talking to the media for a while. And in fact, and then there was a time when in the playoffs in '93, right in the middle of the Eastern Conference Finals, that's when a lot of the gambling stuff resurfaced, and you know, um, the media was giving it to him for that, and he shut down the media again, and he started dealing with just Amar Rashad. I remember that he didn't really see him interview with nobody. Um, what else? Trying to think of some other stuff. And then when he went to go play baseball, um, there was a lot of criticism surrounding that. Sports Illustrated came out with a article about uh, Jordan, the cover. I never forget it. As I got that somewhere, I believe, but it's on the cover. It's Jordan walking back to the bench, and the question asks why. Basically, symbolizing him walking away from the game. That's the question why. And I remember reading this article. When you read the article, it leads you to believe that perhaps he wasn't uh, retiring because of what happened to his dad, but maybe possibly he was suspended. Like maybe the NBA secretly suspended him for betting on games. All right, that's what they when you read the article, that's what it insinuated, and that shed some negative light on it. A lot of people didn't see that article, but some of the media people did, and they discussed that. Um, and then when he decided to stop dealing with Sports Illustrated altogether, when they covered him and when he was playing for the Barons or playing for one of them baseball teams, the cover said "Bag Michael," basically telling him to, hey man, you're terrible in baseball, man. You need to stop. So he's had to deal with a lot in his career. And then when he came back to the NBA, he was not his old self. I mean, it was exciting to see him back, man. I still remember it like it was yesterday out here in LA, man. I still remember it was a cloudy day. It was playing against the Pacers, man. I'm sitting there laying in my bed watching TV, got my VHS cassette. I was trying to record it. In fact, I did record some of it, but that particular tape, um, something happened to it, man. It's when you're dealing with VHS cassettes, after a while, they get old and, they start to just not play well. Um, so anyway, yeah, I had the game recorded, but yeah, when Jordan came back, man, he wasn't the same player. He had a couple. In fact, that game, man, it took Jordan forever to score. I remember thinking like, dang, is he gonna make a shot? And then you could tell he didn't have the same lift. Like he was not in basketball shape at all. But then, certain games he looked like, and that's the other thing. Seeing Jordan with 45 on it just looked silly. And I say that with respect. It just didn't seem right. It didn't feel right. You didn't feel like you was watching Michael Jordan. It was like 45. Like, oh my gosh. I can imagine it was probably, you know, uh, when Kobe fans saw Kobe with 24 on, or when LeBron went from 23 to 6. It was like, kind of may have took some time to get used to. But yeah, but anyway, and then when you know, hey, let's face it, when he choked away the game in the playoffs against Orlando, oh man, he caught it. Man, did he catch it! And what sucked about that game is that they actually, you know, pretty much had that game. They just had to protect the ball, maybe get one more score, but they pretty much was, they had that game and he coughed it up. Um, so Jordan had his fair share of times in the media where he got roasted. And so them analogies that Channing Frye used was crazy. And then he talked about Kobe. What did he say about Kobe? He said Kobe basically tanked the game and didn't shoot in that series against the Suns. Man, ain't no telling what was going on with that game. I'm kind of a conspiracy theorist to an extent, but um, that's just not like Kobe to just not shoot. So there's no telling what was going on behind the scenes with that whole thing. Um, as we get further and further, in life and things become revealed and you start understanding that in sports, they have, it's different levels. It's the bright lights, when the TV is on and the camera is on, and then it's the dark, ugly, behind the scenes stuff that most of us fans don't know about that be going on. So, and some personalities on YouTube, may talked about certain things that go on. Um, then you start to understand, okay, well, man, you know, did he really tank on the game, or especially with betting and everything, and uh, betting, people betting on the games back in the day before it was legal. So there's no telling, if you owed somebody, a favor and had to not shoot. You know what I mean? So there's that kind of stuff. We don't really know, but Kobe, um, not just that, Kobe was hated in in the media for years. Kobe got it worse, in my opinion, than Jordan and LeBron. Because Kobe came in, the odds were stacked against him. He came in as a rookie on the bench. He had all that talent, and and the Lakers was trying to like do what they did to a few players before Kobe. Um, Lakers had several good players that they would not play. They'll keep them on the bench, and the rationale was they just want to wait for them to mature and to prove, and they'll bring them along slowly. And then all of a sudden, you wouldn't see them you wouldn't see them anymore. Uh, they'll end up being traded and out the league and never reach their full potential, like a dude named Antonio Harvey, uh, a guy named Frankie King who used to be real quick, lightning quick. There's another guy that I can't remember his name at all, but I remember Stu Lance, one of the Lakers announcers, used to always talk about every time the camera showed him, he would praise this guy and talk about how great he is when he finally get a chance, and that player never got a chance to play nowhere. So Kobe was on the verge of having something like that happen to him. Now, because again, Lakers is especially in the 90s, coming off the Showtime era, they're a team-oriented basketball. Kobe was, the sometime I dream that he is me, the whole Like Mike generation, you know. So he had MJ moves on his mind. He trying to recreate all them videos, all them highlights he saw growing up looking at Michael Jordan videos. And the Lakers knew that, but they also knew he was talented enough to pull him off. But they like, look, we got Shaq, we got a team, so we gonna have to bring you along slowly. And so Kobe rode the bench for a while, right? Then he finally got his start. He started doing well. Then the feud with him and Shaq happened. And that's when Kobe started catching the real heat, because it was like, wait, first of all, dude, you are not Michael Jordan. You are a freaking ball hog. Pass the ball to Shaq and get out the way. That's what the media was saying. That's what Laker fans were saying. Even Laker players were saying, like, hey, bro, this is, we already had a system set up before you got here. So he had to go through that. So finally, even after they won a couple championships, and then, the Shaq and Kobe feud, that divided Laker fans, divided the city a little bit. Then, was an issue with, they ended up getting Karl Malone, and Karl Malone was allegedly flirting with his wife, with Kobe's wife. And, Kobe didn't handle that well in the media. A lot of people felt like he could have handled that privately, but he took that public. He caught heck for that. The Colorado stuff. when he threw Shaq under the bus, saying, "Oh, well, Shaq, you know, do whoop-de-whoop all the time." Told that to the police. They could have got Shaq in some trouble. Oh, man. Everybody hated Kobe for that. NBA players, fans. Oh, man. Kobe caught it, man. And then when the Lakers traded Shaq, Kobe was blamed for not protecting Shaq. So people were saying, "Oh, he could have went in and fought for Shaq to stick around." And Kobe had to deal with that. Now there was this particular Kobe after Shaq, when the Lakers was terrible, wasn't making the playoffs. When Kobe got his chance to do his MJ thing, it was magnificent to watch. Too bad most of them games were not nationally televised games. So there's a lot of those games you are not going to watch. You are not going to find where Kobe was just going off. He was getting booed. He would be getting booed all game on the road, especially in places like Denver and Boston. And then at some point around the third quarter, in the fourth quarter, Kobe would rip them teams into pieces. Some unbelievable, remarkable shots. You just like, how in the world did that go in? And he would tear them up so bad that the road crowd would be chanting MVP, MVP. Even in Denver, even in Boston, of all places, MVP. Like, Kobe was on a tear. Man, I don't know who remember that, but it was ridiculous. And see, this was back when you had to be good to be on national TV. Like on TNT and NBC, they only played playoff teams and championship contenders. You wasn't watching no lower tier teams. They didn't get nationally televised games, so it didn't matter if you was the Lakers, if you wasn't making the playoffs, if you didn't look like you was doing nothing that year, you was not getting no national attention. But back then, it was also when teams had games coming on local stations. Some still do, but the Lakers used to come on Channel 9 out here. LA Lakers play on KCAL 9. That used to be the little song. But they used to come on out here. And so a lot of those games was played on Channel 9. They were road games. They only showed road games. You had to have cable to watch the home games. But yeah, so but those were during them time, those were some very trying times for Kobe. In Lakerland. He was hated. When I say he was hated by a lot of Laker fans, he was not well liked at all. So imagine you playing basketball in a town that's just ripping you up and blaming you for the reason why the team suck and why all the players and the coaches left. LA sports media is no joke. That's why modern players don't like playing in LA. A lot of players didn't like playing in LA because they would get ripped to shreds. Laker fans, in Lakerland, the standards is high. You'll hear Kwame Brown talk about it sometime, and he's not. Kwame is not overreacting when he say Laker fans ain't playing that losing stuff. You lose 2 or 3 games in a row, and they are looking for people to be traded. That's how it's always been. Laker fans are spoiled. They used to win championships. They used to contend for stuff. So, and LA media is right there with them. There was a show called The Loose Cannons. It used to come on ESPN radio locally out here. I don't think it still come on anymore, but it was a real popular show. Klay Thompson's dad Michael Thompson and Victor Brick and Steve Hartman, who was the biggest Kobe hater. I mean, he was the biggest Kobe troll. I mean, it didn't matter what Kobe did. He always found reasons to hate on Kobe. Kobe, if Kobe had 63 points, he like, well, how many assists did he have? How many of this did he have? He used to give Kobe the blues, man, on the radio. So when the Lakers finally won, and when they asked him about it, and he said, I got one without Shaq. The reason why that was the first thing he said was because that's all he heard. He ain't got one without Shaq. He don't have one without Shaq. Shaq made that one song when they lost. Tell me I'm a butt. I ain't gonna want to cuss. Tell me I'm a butt. Or whatever he said. It's gross. I don't even know why I repeated that. That's just gross. But Shaq made a really bad, this song on Kobe when he lost to Boston. Because, when Shaq left LA, he got him a championship immediately without Kobe. So Shaq never had to ever hear that you didn't win one without Kobe stuff. He got one immediately. So, but Kobe, it took him a little time. But once Kobe won that championship, all that hate went away. It was like nothing ever happened. It's like it's been all good. And then now that his unfortunate demise, you would never think that any of that hate existed in LA. No, but it did. It did. Kobe got the worst of the hate, and out of Jordan and LeBron. So much so that he played 20 years and only got one MVP. And y'all know why he didn't get that MVP. Because of Colorado. That's why Kobe was never the true face of the league. Because of what happened in Colorado. And all the hate and he was hated by, he wasn't a media guy like that. So, when they talk about this face of the league stuff lately, and they trying to blame it on, the media scoop, what the media say. No. It's because, that's a part of it, but it's also because of the fact that the face of the league is got to be perfect. They want the face of the league to be likable. They want them to be a professional. They want them to be above reproach. And in a world like today where so much, there's no morality anywhere. And you got cameras everywhere and cell phones everywhere. And, it's hard to live up to the hype. It's not a fun place to be, it don't seem. Like, I would never want to be Michael Jordan. Never, ever, ever, ever. Give me a few of his bucks. If I was on the basketball court, I'd love to be Michael Jordan. But to live his life, to be him every day, no, he can keep it. They can all keep it. LeBron too, I'm sure, he could speak on it more so than anything. And it's funny, he say, hey, I didn't ask for this. Yes, you did. Because if you go back, when they asked LeBron about, early in his career, I think when he was a rookie, and they asked him, like, what would he like his career to be like at the end, when it's all said and done? He said, I want to be a global icon. You're not going to be a global icon. You're going to have to be the face of the league. So LeBron wanted it. I guess he just didn't understand what he was asking for, perhaps, but he got it. But I think that's why, players like Anthony Edwards don't want to be the face of the league. And you see what he's going through right now. The face of the league can go through that. Talking about you don't want to take care of your kids. That's a topic for another day. Some may say, hey, you know what? He said he don't want to have no kids. He made it clear the girl wanted to have a kid anyway. So, and these players should already know what they up against when they out there messing around. So, and say he should have wrapped up. Okay, yeah. There's different ways to look at the story, but the bottom line is can you imagine LeBron having that type of story or Michael Jordan having that type of story? That would be crazy. Kobe had a story, worse than that. And you see what happened. He can't, the NBA wasn't going to have him as the face of the league. That MVP he won, that tells you how great of a season how good he was that year, that they had to give him the MVP, because to not give him the MVP that year, it would have been obvious that, okay, something is up. The NBA got something against Kobe. They not letting him win MVP. So, nah, man. So LeBron haven't went through anything, that Kobe went through. And neither Jordan nor Kobe had a whole media platform created to go out there and protect their image and try to clean up what's out there about him or about them. They didn't have that. Now, true, they didn't have to deal with social media. Well, at least Michael Jordan didn't have to deal with social media. Kobe caught it his second half of his career, but LeBron pretty much been dealing with social media from the beginning. So, I get that, but still they wasn't going to be doing what LeBron is doing, running around here telling people what they can and can't say and attacking people for, being critical, especially if they're talking about the game. Not you personally, not your personal life, but your game, your son's game. He didn't say Bronny was a spoiled little kid, that's, being, privileged to, by who his daddy is or something like that. He may have touched around that a little bit, but again, that's the truth though. That's the truth. So, he's not bad mouthing them, but you got LeBron in his face, acting like he big tough guy and everything, he knew the cameras was on. That's why he postured like he did, all flexed up with this mean look on his face and being all extra. So normally when LeBron be saying stuff, he have his mouth covered. That's why part of me kind of feels like we being played. There's a small part of me that feel like we being played with all this stuff, to be honest with you. Yeah, man, it's a part of me feel like we being played with all this stuff, man. So, like I said, man, you look at just everything, and then you look at Stephen A. Smith's reaction. He all, acting all sad and depressed. First of all, how you acting like that? If you go back and you look at Stephen A. and you hear how he was talking, man, he sounded like, he got his feelings hurt. How you sounding like that and you just signed a contract for $100 million to run your mouth, to basically do what you do, to do what comes naturally, and that's run your mouth and say things and talk loud or whatever, man. I mean, good for him, man. Shout out to him. But he acting but he said he's humbled, but man, come on, bro. Come on, poke your chest out a little bit. It's all right. That's a good accomplishment for you. But, and with that, man, don't be, talking like you signing all weak and stuff. But actually, it goes back to my point. I almost forgot my point of mentioning that. Yeah, man. Even with that, man, you know he signed that contract, and then now all of a sudden, here come the gimmicks. You notice every time they announce that there's a contract, uh, with the like you think about with TNT and everything, there's some drama surrounding it. First TNT, it's the end of the show. Oh well, now no, they're gonna go ahead on and stay together and join ESPN. It's just they just flipping it around into another debate. We seem like we're watching a soap opera. All of us are caught into the old school soap operas, man. Just drama. But in case there's any truth to it, um, in case there's any, if there's any truth to whatever's happening, if it, in other words, if it's not, if it's not being orchestrated or whatever, man, still this stuff is, you know, um, there's an obvious shift happening in sports media. And in basketball, but the only shift that I'm concerned about is shifting the NBA basketball back to what it used to be. Let's get away from all this individualized superstar stuff. 'Cause that's the other thing about the face of the league and LeBron and stuff. When you think about the face of the league, the pressures of it. Now, Michael Jordan was the only true face of the league that lived up to the hype, right? Magic wasn't really the face of the league. He shared it with Bird and Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas in the 80s. In the 80s, there was no real face of the league because, again, it was a team-oriented situation. The face of the league stuff didn't really happen until the 90s with MJ. And after he left, they was looking for the next face of the league. So when he came back, it was like, great, we got our face back. But now, okay, they back to searching for the face of the league. So they tried Harold Miner, that didn't work. They tried Grant Hill, that didn't work. Kobe, it worked a little bit, but still not quite because everybody's still talking about Jordan. And not many people talking about Kobe as much. It's Jordan versus whoever. It's always Jordan versus whoever. So you're looking for this face of the league. So now here comes LeBron. LeBron, started off his career pretty good. Almost Jordan-like with the terrible team that he led to the finals. Well, at least he led the team to the finals. Jordan didn't lead his team to the finals. You can give that one to LeBron. That'll make him better. That'll make him no goat over Jordan. But okay, you can say he did that. He didn't win, but he got to the finals. And so I guess they decided, well, we need to make sure, somehow we need to come up with something. Again, the gimmicks. Come up with something so that LeBron can start winning championships, because you can't claim GOAT status. You can't be in that face of the league category and be considered on the same level as Michael Jordan and Magic and all the greats unless you got championships. So how can we make sure LeBron get championships? Oh, let's pair him up and let's send him to Miami with Dwayne Wade and Bosh. So he takes his talents to Florida and he's out there playing, and he, gets him a couple championships. He didn't get the 8, 9, or 10 he was talking about, but he got him a couple. But while he was in Miami, if you pay close attention to what was happening in Cleveland, didn't they get like 2 or 3 first-round draft picks all of a sudden? In other words, it appears like, it seems like they was greasing the tracks for LeBron's return to Cleveland the entire time he was in Miami. And that's why it was so easy for him to just go back to Cleveland. And he went, now when he was in Cleveland, he promised that he was going to get Cleveland a championship. So again, figuring out little ways to make him, put him on Jordan's level and set the stage to start talking. No, he's going to be better than Michael Jordan and do things that Michael Jordan didn't do or couldn't do. We gonna make sure he live up to his word and keep his promise by making sure Cleveland is good enough to win a championship. Even though Golden State won 73 games, that don't trump LeBron's keeping his promise to Cleveland and getting that championship. You know what I mean? So, and then he beat a 73, the team that won the most games in NBA history. We beat that 72-10 Chicago team. See, that 72-10 Chicago team won championship. But anyway, but yeah, even though that Cleveland championship, when you go back and you look at the clutch moments of the deciding game, that was all Kyrie Irving, but LeBron got all the credit. In fact, I was watching the game. I remember at the end of the game, the media ran to LeBron like he did everything. No, it was Kyrie that went Kobe, took over the game and brought it home. But Kyrie ain't gonna get credit for that. Got to go to LeBron. So the other gimmicks are, they come up with, okay, so what LeBron end up going to like 9 straight NBA finals? Okay. But he won technically 3. Nobody really count that bubble championship. At least not out here in LA. If there ain't no parade, then ain't no real championship. No Laker fans had a chance to participate in that and celebrate that. There was no parade out here, none really to celebrate. They'll take it because I think at the time it tied them up with Boston, so they'll take it. But they're not really connected to that championship. You see, Dodgers did the same thing. They won the bubble championship, but then they made up for it last year, and in the World Series, and now the Dodger fans had a chance to celebrate, in LA like real fans. So until that happened, till LeBron give the Lakers a real championship to celebrate, they're not gonna really, embrace him like that. He's still technically not fully embraced by Laker fans. You have to be in LA to know that. There's a couple, if you might be a LeBron fan, but I'm talking about a Laker fan. Being a Laker fan is different. Laker fan is about the Lakers and what you do in the Lakers uniform. It ain't about what you did anywhere else. It's what have you did here in this city, within these city limits. All right. But anyway, so he come out here to LA and, he's much older. And now it's, obviously, okay, he went to the finals and lost way too many times. So, let's let's start talking about stats. Yeah, he need to get that. He need to get that scoring championship, that Kareem scoring championship. Yeah, we're gonna make sure. Yeah, he need to play and get that and shatter that record. Yeah, it need to be a time when and in the process of that, yeah, we gonna he needs to play long enough to where he get the stats. He gets the assists, the most assists or whatever. So it's it's Father Time. Remember that? Remember that campaign? They tried to start that. Oh, LeBron is beating Father Time, but then he kept losing, so they have to erase all them commercials. They stopped playing. They like, oh man, nah, ain't no beating Father Time. No beating Father Time, bro. That Father Time is undefeated. And so that's why they pulled the commercial. That's why they softened up the league. That's why they got rid of big men in the paint. That's why I don't know if it's a magnet ball really going on, but they've been talking about this magnet ball thing that helps shots go in. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's why there are sports betting and instant replay and all this sensitive, soft, sensitive stuff going on in the NBA. It's so that players could, quote, defeat Father Time and they can push this longevity stuff. Oh, another thing that I don't think we should be celebrated is load management. Again, another Father Time tool that they use or another tool they use to defeat Father Time, or pretend they defeat Father Time. By doing this, this allows them to make more money off of LeBron and off of these players and stuff. So the game no longer cares about the fans no more. It's all about making money and storylines. You know what I mean? And that's the other thing. Who wants to celebrate that? Who wants to celebrate storylines? Who wants to hear what players feel? And this is kind of controversial, I'm saying anyway. Who wants to hear what they feel about social issues when you just want to watch sports? It's one thing to hear what they got to say, but then when you got to watch the game and you have to, see certain things, and they got slogans and all this different stuff going on. Like, it's cool. It was cool in the beginning, but then it's kind of like, okay, can we just talk about the game? Can we focus on the game? Michael Jordan caught heat for not wanting to talk about or endorse politicians or get involved in politics, and you see why. Look at what it does. Look at how it ruined the league. LeBron has lost, and a lot of players have lost fans, and the NBA has lost viewership because of it. Nobody wants to. But listen, man. The rest of us, most of us, we hardworking people. We go to work, we come home, we get off work. We want to watch the game. We want to enjoy a game. We don't want to hear about a whole bunch of social issues. We want to just, sports used to be an escape from problems. You deal with a lot. So for 2 hours of just, focusing on a game for a little bit, getting your mind off your problems and different things. That was, therapeutic. When you watch the halftime shows and the pregame and postgame shows, it was full of people that played the game and knew what they was talking about, not a whole bunch of models from Sports Illustrated and Ebony Jet magazine, all these other cosmopolitan magazines that they got in the studios with players. That's the equivalent of Instagram models. So that's I'm just kind of showing my age, but see, back in the day, Ebony and Jet, depending on what flavor of females you like, Ebony Jet, Cosmopolitan, and Playboy or whatever it is that you may look at back in the day. That was our equivalent of Instagram models. All right. So we didn't have, a whole bunch of, women inside of and it's not a knock against women. I don't want to put that out there, but, because we did have some Hannah Storm, Willow Bay on NBA Inside stuff. Robin Roberts was around. Well, I mean, we had some, but here's the thing. Even Lisa Leslie, like people, like if they were around the game, they knew what they was talking about. It wasn't about looking at somebody, that was pretty or whatever. It was just about, okay, no, you want to hear what they got to say because they know what they're talking about, not because of anything else. There are some people that they have on ESPN that's just annoying. I cannot watch ESPN presentation. It is the most boringest mess ever. So yeah, there's a lot wrong with the NBA. The NBA got to fix a lot of stuff surrounding it. I mean, they did a lot of damage. So until they fix that, stop blaming Barkley and Shaq and Kenny Smith and all the old school players. See, they play basketball. They remember. They know what the game is supposed to be. I think that's why ESPN got rid of Stan Van Gundy and Mark Jackson, because they were truth tellers. They called it out. So yeah. But there's a lot that's going on. But that Stephen A. Smith stuff, him and LeBron, and not Stephen A. Smith, it was mainly LeBron is the one that, I guess instigated it from this point. Stephen A. was just doing his job and reporting on sports and critiquing Bronny's game. He wasn't attacking him personally. But like what Candace Owens said about LeBron, he's like one of those dads, one of them parents at the Pop Warner game that attacks the coaches and umpires and stuff because they penalized their kid or got into a fight with another parent because somebody said something about number 12 that, can't hit nor can't shoot or can't catch. So he's over there acting up. But like I said, if it's not a gimmick, then something need to be. We have a real problem on our hand when it comes to sports, especially us basketball fans. I'm curious to see what this new stuff is going to be with them bringing NBC back, which I got mixed feelings about because NBC presentation was just marvelous. No pun intended, because they had the Marv Albert thing, but it was marvelous, man. It was great. It was basketball wars. It was exciting to watch. If you was around back then, especially when they first started in the 90s, man, I mean, just hearing the music alone, you probably didn't even watch the game, but once the intro came on, you wanted to go play some basketball. There's so many times, man, as soon as I'll watch the game, I'll watch the intro and then go out there and just start shooting around on the court or we'll go to the park or go to the little elementary school court so we can dunk. Yeah, we'll just, do our thing, man. I mean, so yeah, so it's, it's going to be interesting to see. But anyway, that's pretty much my thoughts. So, since this is not really a popular channel, I doubt I get many views, but whoever decides to listen, I appreciate it, and drop a comment. Tell me what you think about everything. So was LeBron overreacting? Did he have a point? This was Stephen A. Was he wrong, or was he justified in being able to do his job that they paid him, that he's getting paid $100 million to do now, and that's talk sports. He's trying to be a politician too. You know what? See, Jason Whitlock been on. He been on Stephen A. Smith's head, man, about that book, and he called this one months ago. He came out. In fact, Jason Whitlock talked about it twice, that Stephen A. is gonna run for office. And then a few months later, now Stephen A. is talking about running for office. So, that's something interesting. That's different. You got, well, I guess the presidents always had, actors and stuff. You had Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump now. Well, Donald Trump wasn't really an actor, but, he was known. And that's the other thing that's kind of funny, is that I remember in the 80s, 90s, Donald Trump was the standard. Like, a lot of black entertainers, they wanted to be in the pictures, to be seen with Donald Trump. If you seen with Donald Trump, that means you must be on a certain level or something. So you go from that to him being a racist now. I thought that was hilarious. Now, I'm not into politics like that. I just pay attention to politics. So you Trump supporter. No, I'm not a Trump supporter. No, nor am I. I don't have a side. I'll say that. I'm neutral. But I pay attention to stuff. But yeah. Anyway, well, on that note, Stephen A. is trying to run for president, so that's gonna be interesting to see. That could also probably explain why he got some of that $100 million. They don't just give $100 million to you to talk about sports. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, what are your thoughts?